Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and my guest today is Linda Rydholm, the City Councillor representing Nebing Ward. Welcome, Linda.
Thanks, it's good to be here.
So I sure appreciate having you on the show. Let's start a little bit about your background. So now we know you're a City Councillor, you've been there for a long time, but bring us back to your youth. And did you grow up in Thunder Bay? Where are you from?
I'm from Thunder Bay. Grew up in Nebing, Vickers Heights, and Westfort, those two places. Went to school here, went to LU. Taught school. A lot of people don't know that. I was an elementary teacher for 5 years.
Okay.
Started a family. My husband and I did a number of things over the years. We taught school. We had a dairy farm for 5 years, and then sold it at a big profit, went traveling. We traveled a lot with our two little ones. They were 2 and 4. Then we went back to school, became doctors of chiropractic, opened our own clinic here in Thunder Bay and worked there for, well over 20 years or so, 25 years. And then during that time, about 1988, I was concerned because the school board was going to close my children's school.
Oh, okay.
So as a concerned mom, I went down to hear what was happening, what was the rationale, and didn't like it, didn't approve. Ended up running for city council or for a school board. Did that for 9 years. During that time, I was chair of the board, chair of different committees. It was a real learning situation, and my heart was truly in it with my kids in the system.
Indeed.
Yeah. And then, well, I worked as a chiropractor, but did the school board part, did some provincial committee work. Then about 1997 decided, well, it was time for a change. My kids were leaving high school. And
so were you still working as a chiropractor while you were
Yeah.
participating on the school board?
When I look back, Steve, I realized I had a capacity for work. I still do. The women in my family live well into their 90s. They keep doing all kinds of interesting travel and activities. So I figure I have another 30 years or so to be active anyway. So anyway, did a lot of travel with my husband and the kids, Australia, New Zealand, all over North America. In fact, Alaska. Just this spring, my mom and I, she's well into her 80s. We were over in Scotland and Ireland. I've enjoyed a lot of different activities in life, a lot of travel and stuff. Anyway, back in '97, I noticed that there was a problem at City Hall. Until then, I hadn't been that interested in I don't know, potholes in the road or whatever. Local issues didn't grab me that much. But there was a big issue back then. The province was going to amalgamate our hospitals over at the Port Arthur site. And that didn't make sense to me for a number of reasons. We needed a modern building, more effective use of the building, etc. And also there was a boil water advisory coming from
Loch Lomond.
Loch Lomond, unfortunately. There was Giardia found there. And so those were health concerns that really interested me. And so I ran for Nebing Ward. I had 4 generations of my family living in the ward, lots of friends. I knew I'd have a pretty good chance of getting elected. And so that started my 5 terms or so, I guess, on City Council. Yeah.
So you've been on City Council since '97?
Well, not quite, because in the year 2000, it was interesting. There was a big call for a change. You might remember that fall. And actually, my husband had been really sick, and I was running the clinic by myself. And it was a burden there for a couple of years. And I wasn't certain if I should run again in 2000 because I was tired, frankly. And then, no, I thought, hey, I've learned the job, you know. Takes 3 years to really know what you're doing there. And so I put my name in again. There were a few other people who also wanted the position. One person did win. He won by a narrow margin of about 70 votes, but he did win. And it was probably just as well for myself. That was a very contentious time on council between 2000 and 2003. Summer of 2003, people asked me if I would please run again. People came to my door, they phoned me, they asked, they knew, I think, that I was a sensible person, a realistic person. I never promised big things that I wasn't pretty sure I could deliver. And so yeah, I ran again in 2003, was acclaimed in 06, was reelected again, let's see, 2010, 2014. So that's been my evolution, I guess. Basically, when I think about it, it's because I care. I care about people, I care about the community, our country, the world, the globe. So that's what keeps me there.
So it sounds like your involvement in politics first with the school board and then with the city was really stimulated by an issue that really related directly to you, your kids' education, healthcare. You're working in the healthcare field. These were big issues.
Right.
Now you're involved in politics. Now there's a whole lot of issues now you're having to deal with. How did that kind of play out for you?
Well, in 2006, when I was acclaimed, my husband's health was failing, and somewhat anyway, and an opportunity came to run for the National Board for Municipal Councils, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, we call it for short, Federation Canadian Municipalities. That group speaks for all municipalities across the country, coast to coast to coast. And I was excited about that group because the then Liberal government in Ottawa had just started to give a few $100,000 or so a year directly to municipalities for the first time ever. Municipalities need money. The federal government recognized that municipalities couldn't afford a lot of big ticket items, transit and other items. And so I thought, hey, I want to find out what's happening there. And I've really enjoyed that organization for 10 years, yeah.
That's great. We need to take a short little break.
Okay.
Please stay with us and we'll be right back.